in my own hometown. Stranger.
Howdy folks, Little Johnny. It's time for 5 on Friday, and this week we've got a little bit of support from the Johnny Walker Gold Label Reserve. This is the bottle I picked up for half price while I was on holiday up the coast. You certainly don't knock back half price bottles of scotch. Anyway, today's topic, base malt. Someone suggested this in a previous video. Just generally, requesting a bit of a chat about base malt. So, just make it quick and simple. Base malt is any barley, malted barley that you're using. That's the main ingredient in making beer. It's generally a 2-row barley, and depending on where in the world it comes from will depend on exactly what variety it is. In Australia, as an example, they use, depending on the manufacturer, they will use Shepherd, they'll use Schooner. They're the 2 main varieties, and there is another variety floating around which off the top of my head I can't think of. And again, and as I said, this will vary depending on where you are. In America, they're 2-row. I don't know what variety they use, but they still use, to some degree, they still use 6-row barley in America. I think the nasty people, Budweiser, still use 6-row on their watery malty substance. And right through Europe and into England, whichever varieties they are. So your base malt, there's a lot of variety with your base malts that are available, and they run from the lower colour spectrum, like starting with your Pilsner malts, which will run from somewhere around 2 EBC. So they provide a little colour and not a lot of malt flavour on their own. As I said, used for your Pilsners and very light brews. You step up from there into lager malts, which on their own are a little bit more difficult to find. You don't get quite so much lager malt. I've got a bag of Simpson's lager malt here at the moment, which I got earlier in the year, and I'd never used it before, never seen it before. And my last lager I made was with it, and went really well. So it's good for your lagers, and I think it's about 3.2 EBC, so got a little bit more depth than the Pilsner. Then you step into your pale ale malts, which will run anywhere from 3 up to about 5 EBC. That will include things like J. White's traditional Aussie ale here in Australia, which is a malt you can use for pretty much anything. It's light enough to use in lagers, and got enough depth to use as a base in pretty much any other style. From there, you're going to step up into something with a little bit more oomph in the range of your Golden Promise and your Maris Otter. They predominantly come out of England. You can get them from Australian maltsters, but generally it's not the same thing. I mean, it is a geographical thing. You do want your Promise and your Otter coming out of England, and they run normally from 5 to about 6.5 EBC, and again work really well for pretty much any beer style. Depending on how you want to use it, you can tone it down for a lager. You can add to it and run right through to to a stout with it, no problem at all. They're my go-to, my 2 staple bases, Maris Otter and Golden Promise. Maris Otter has been my staple up until this year. I swapped up for this run. I got a bag of Golden Promise, and I said in the lager malt. So that's just changed things up a little bit, but they're very, very similar malt. There's not much difference between the two. The Golden Promise for me is a little bit fuller and sweeter than the Maris, but again, it's not a lot. So pushing beyond your Maris, you're getting into Vienna, which is a bit darker again. So it'll run from your 6 through to about 8 EBC. Obviously, good for Vienna lagers. Bigger body, heavier German and European lagers will work good with a Vienna base. And then you can even push that into your Munich malt, which is sort of 8 to 10, even 11 EBC. Obviously, good for Munich malt, Munich lager. Your Oktoberfest type of beers work really well with that. And that Munich will work really well with your lighter pilsners and lagers, just for a little bit extra in that sort of beer. Of course, in amongst all this, you've got new players on the market which are now bringing more options to the table. I won't say variety, more options. You've got Gladfields out of New Zealand who are very popular and getting good results, and people are getting good beers out of it. Basically, for the most part, they're running the same sort of ale malts that are already available. They just give them different names so they sound different. There are some slight differences, and obviously, again, being Southern Hemisphere instead of Northern Hemisphere, there is flavour characteristics which will be different. But you read the descriptors and you can link that up to match up with a different style if you're trying to follow a particular recipe or something like that. And the same in Australia, you've now got more private maltsters are getting involved and creating their own stuff. So it's the same worldwide. There's more. As the craft beer industry grows, there's more maltsters coming on, and people are looking for something a little bit different for their beer to set them aside. So the range on the malts is just spreading a little bit. But by and large, for the most part, you're still restricted to a choice of 4 or 5 malt suppliers. So you're getting a fairly consistent supply of what you're getting. If you're one of these brewers who wants, they want a single malt, what can I get? What is the best malt for me to use to make the most styles? As I said, Golden Promise and Maris are my preferred option, but given that, I will go out and buy smaller amounts of malt for certain beers. If I was looking to keep my cost down and be able to make the widest range I could, I would probably be looking at a standard pale ale malt out of somewhere like Simpsons or Fawcett's, or even Weyermann out of Germany, or even a Joe White traditional ale, or a Barrett Burston pale, something that's a little bit lighter, and you can cut back with adjuncts or add specialties to get what you want. All base grains have good diastatic power, which means they have enough within themselves to convert their own proteins and starches into sugars. Specialty grains don't do that, so that's why you need base grains in your beers. That's why you need to mash them, not just steep them. That's the big difference between a base and a specialty. Base grain needs to be mashed. Specialty grain has generally been converted during the malting process, where the sugars have been already, the starches have been caramelised and crystalled in the sugar, hence the crystal malts. And you only need to steep those to get those sugars out. There's nowhere near as much sugar, but you can access it a little bit easier. So there's your run of malts. What malt you use, what base you use, really is a personal thing. You can make any particular beer with a range of malts. It's going to come down to the personal preference of which one works best for the individual brewer. So you need to play around a little bit. Buy malt enough for a recipe to go, and you know, do the same recipe with 2 different malts and see what you prefer. It's not the cheapest way of doing it, but it gives you that scope of knowing what you want. If you are purely doing it cheap, then find something that works for the most styles you want, and go with that. Just add from there. You can make anything pretty much with any base malt, doesn't really matter. It just takes a little bit of trickery and mucking around. That's about it's about all I'm going to add for base malt today. I mean, there's so much more you can discuss about it, but I'm going to leave it there for today. Yeah. So as always, if you've got any questions or want to clarify anything, stick a comment down the bottom, ask away. If you haven't hit the subscribe button, hit it down there already. Just went completely blank. Anyway, so that's it. That's me for today. I'm in the middle of doing a brew. Stovetop ball grain small batch. I'll go and continue doing that. But now that's me, Little John, done. So till I'm looking at you again, we talking beer, brewing beer, drinking beer, good brewing.